Chris, the president gave, a 2-hour-plus speech on Saturday before the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, as it's called, and he didn't exactly go on script. Listen to this.
I said, what the hell, let's run for president. You know I'm totally off script right now. New Green Deal or whatever the hell they call it. All of a sudden, they're trying to take you out with bullshit, okay? With bullshit. The Attorney General says, I'm going to recuse myself. And I said, why the hell didn't he tell me that before I put him in? He still hasn't gotten over getting his ass kicked, okay? And we kicked their ass.
What do you think?
It's nothing. It's nothing that we shouldn't have expected. This is the reddest of red meat crowds Donald Trump plays to the crowd. I mean, the fact that he spoke for 2 hours, I went through the transcript today, and about a third of the way through, he says, all right, let's wrap this up. And then he goes on for another 70 plus minutes. There is part of that is very appealing to the electorate, or at least a part of the electorate, which is genuineness, authenticity. I heard so many times, Donald Trump can't be lying because no one would lie and talk the way he talks. That whole shtick has appealed to it. Now, does it have enough appeal when you have 4 years of a record as president? He and his people argue it does. But it is a remarkable thing that the president of the United States, just returning from a summit about nuclear weapons in Vietnam with North Korea, after a week in which his one-time fixer, one of the closest people to him, turned against him, said he was a cheat, a liar, and a con man, that he would devote 2 hours to a speech like this, which I would urge people, if they haven't read it, you should at least read some of it. And it opens with an iconic Trump moment, the walking out and bear hugging of the American flag, which sort of was a precursor to everything that came after it.
I suspect with his re-election campaign only beginning to gear up, Sabrina, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. There he is, hugging of the American flag. I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot more of this off-the-cuff, unscripted kind of speeches, which clearly helped him get the Republican nomination in the first place and win the election.
Well, there's no question you just saw a preview of what Trump 2020 will look like. But this is, to be fair, a president who never stopped campaigning. It's not new for this president to go off script and to try and appeal to the reddest of red audiences. He's held rallies across the country since taking office where he has similarly gone on these tirades against not just Democrats, but also members of his own party, against a lot of the institutions that he oversees as president. And I think a lot of this really centers on those Republican voters who are still very much behind him. The support that he has within the Republican Party still hovers around 89%. But as he does look ahead at his reelection campaign, the question is that kind of speech going to be appealing to those independent-minded voters who broke from Democrats in 2016 and gave their votes to this president? And what impact will it have on those suburban voters who swung back toward Democrats in the midterms, precisely because now that they've seen that what you see is what you get, they're having second thoughts about this president?
Let me get your thoughts, Laura. You're a Justice Department reporter on this really bombshell report in the New Yorker. Jane Mayer is the writer, saying that back in 2017, President Trump ordered his chief economic advisor at the time, Gary Cohn, to pressure the Justice Department in trying to block the merger of AT&T and CNN's then parent company, Time Warner. I'll read an excerpt from Jane's article. According to a well-informed source, Trump called Cohn into the Oval Office along with John Kelly, who had just become the chief of staff, and said in exasperation to Kelly, I've been telling Cohn to get this lawsuit filed and nothing's happened. I've mentioned it 50 times and nothing's happened. I want to make sure it's filed. I want that deal blocked. Now, we know the president, he hates CNN for whatever reason. He doesn't like CNN. But that's not the way the president is supposed to behave with a Justice Department investigation.
Well, no, not in normal times. But we had seen the president come out publicly, so it wasn't a secret that he was against the deal. He had expressed his opposition to it. But this takes it, obviously, a big step further, actually pressuring Cohn and Kelly to get the lawsuit filed. And it's interesting, there's a blind quote in there from a White House official saying, this is just how the president talks. He's just grousing, he's venting frustration. Obviously, Cohen didn't take it as just venting frustration and made it very clear to Kelly, under no circumstances should you instruct the Justice Department to do that. And we haven't seen any indication that that actually happened. And the Justice Department has been adamant, in fact, in court, saying that there was no pressure. They managed to keep a lot of that evidence out of the actual case that AT&T eventually won about the merger. But again, this is part of the larger picture of House Democrats, I think, are going to be pressing on abuses of power. And there are going to be more areas just like this.
Yeah, there's material to investigate.